Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me here on our Facebook Live session. I am Jennifer VonStein, and I am Chroma's resident artist. And today I am going to talk to you as part of our Artist 101 series. I'm going to be talking to you about Chromacryl and Chromacryl Essentials and what is the difference between these paints. Let me show you my Essentials bottle. That's an older bottle. We have updated our packaging, which is very exciting, but times being what they are, I kind of have some other bottles here at my home studio. We are streaming here live from the attic, and I'm hoping that everyone is able to stay safe and keep healthy, and they are keep making art during this crazy, crazy time. I'm just going to give a few minutes before I get started, maybe about 2 minutes. I find that people kind of pop on, and I'm usually around 4 or 5 minutes afterwards. So definitely, if you have not liked Chroma's page by now, please like Chroma's page. Like my page. Again, I am Jennifer VonStein. I am Chroma's resident artist, so you can stay up to date on what is happening here in Chromaland. All right, let's talk a little bit about paint. Well, there's the old adage that you can get what you pay for, and sometimes that is true and sometimes that's not. It's a little bit true with paint when it comes into whether you're getting a educational grade paint or if you are getting an artist grade paint. So our Chromacryl and our Chromacryl Essentials, our tempera paints, these are Chroma's educational paints, and they are wonderful to use. I use them professionally as part of my underpaintings because it's a solid acrylic. However, when you're working with an educational or scholastic grade paint, they are not generally going to be light fast. And that's really important. If you are a professional and you are creating work that you want to stand the test of time, you want to make sure that you are using light fast pigments. And what are pigments? They are that substances, the components that give paint its color. They're pigments. Sometimes they can be dyes, but most of the time they're pigments. That's the word that we'll use here in the business. And these pigments, how much you add, what pigment it is, that is what can affect the quality and the price of the paint. So that's why you can get a big bottle for a few bucks, or you can get a tube, about a 2-3 ounce tube, for about the same price. It's going to be what are the pigments that are used, how much of that is in the paint, and that is where we come to Chromacryl. Our Chromacryl is a beautiful medium-bodied acrylic paint. I'll put out some of our cool red. I used this not too long ago in one of my workshops, and it went over really well. It has a great consistency. It flows really nice. You can see some of that brush mark, a beautiful rich color. I'm painting over some black here, so you can kind of see that my cool red is a semi-transparent color. Now, this is our Chromacryl, and this is our paint that is probably best known and best used in schools around the world. But let me tell you about our Essentials line, and this is exciting. Our Essentials line, it's a smaller line. It doesn't have as many colors as Chromacryl, and the thing that it is that makes it different from Chromacryl is not just the amount of colors, but the amount of pigment. So I'm going to put down the same color, and you can see that in its mass tone, it looks the same, but when I put it in out, you can see the transparency almost immediately. And I'll hold this up a little bit to the camera. My lighting isn't the best today. It's kind of a gray day here. But you can see the difference. You can see that the Chromacryl, and let me mark these here, CA versus CAE, Chromacryl Essentials. You can see that the difference really shows up. How opaque is that paint? How important is it to you? Think about that. Because if opacity and not painting over and over and over your lines is really super important, you're going to want to stick with the paint like Chromacryl. But if you're on a budget If you are supplying paint for the classroom and you have very limited supplies, if you're doing a small workshop where you're just introducing people to painting, maybe sticking with a paint like Chromacryl Essentials is going to be a little bit more your speed. It really comes down to what you're looking for in a paint. Again, the main difference between Chromacryl and Chromacryl Essentials is going to be the amount of pigment. Hello, everyone from around the world. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find all of this information on our website, which is www.chromaonline.com. You can also look on our website that's dedicated specifically for our scholastic and our educational paints, which is chromacryl.com. So either place you go, Chroma Online or Chromacryl, it'll take you to the same information. So I've shown Cool Red. Let me write that down here. Cool Red. And now let me show you another color. Let me show you Warm Red. The paint that is in the tube when it goes through our manufacturing line is going to be the exact same paint that ends up in the bottle. So if you are considering, what should I get? Should I get a bottle? Should I get a tube? Get what seems to work with your budget. It's going to be the same paint. The formula has not changed for Chromacryl. You know, if you buy Chromacryl Essentials, if you get one of the tubes, you're going to be getting the same paint, tube, and bottle. All right, this is going to be our Warm Red. So you're going to see it's going to be a little bit warmer. I talked about colors and temperature the last time. And by warmer, I mean it's going to be a little bit more on the yellow side. And now I'm going to put out some of our Chromacryl Essentials Warm Red. Here we go. All right. Now, what does this look like when I paint it out? Let me just, oops, where did I have it? Oops, here it is. I knew I had a rag here somewhere. All right. So I'm putting out my Chromacryl Warm Red. You can kind of see maybe just from the get-go that it seems to have a little bit more of this heavier body, because it's a nice medium-bodied paint. Oh, I hear my children. I told them not to make any noise. Mommy was filming a video. Oh, well, brother, sister fighting. That's kind of what happens when you have a, 7.5 and a 10-year-old. All right, so where was I? Warm Red. A Warm Red is going to be a little bit more on the yellow side. You're going to find that if you're looking to mix oranges, or if you're mixing to mix those, warmer colors in a landscape, stay with your warm colors. Stay with things such as Warm Red. Okay, so here, that's our Warm Red. Nice opacity. Oops, let me show the undertone there when I paint it out. There we go. Now let me show you our Chromacryl Essentials Warm Red. Get this off here. All right. Not quite the same, body, maybe a little less body, not much. But where you really start to see is this undertone and how is my opacity. Now right now it looks pretty good because I'm painting it out. We're going to set this off to the side a little bit and see how it looks when it dries, because that's really going to be what happens. There we go. Push this out the same way too. Hold this up so you can see. Which one do you like better? The Essentials. Oops, let me move my Cool Red out of the way here. Or the Chromacryl. The Chromacryl is going to be on my left side over here. This is the Essentials. Let's see how they all go with their opacity, with their load. You can see this is definitely brighter than here. Same way over here if we look at our Cool Reds. What's brighter? What has more pigment in it? What's a little bit more loaded? It's going to be the Chromacryl. So things to consider when you are wondering what is the difference between Chromacryl Essentials. Let me put my red off to the side here. Hopefully it landed, not paint side up. And let me show you a couple more. Let me show you one of the most important colors that this really screams at, and that's going to be our yellows. I'm going to start with a cool yellow. Do I have my cool yellow? I thought I grabbed my cool yellow. It's probably somewhere on my board. So let's go to warm yellow. Easy enough, easy breezy. Here we go, as I'm looking around frantically for where is my cool yellow that I had out. All right, again, this is Chromacryl. Let me push this over a little bit so you can see what's happening. Boop. There we go. Down. All right. And now let me put out some of our essentials and our warm colors. There we go. There we go. All right. So warm yellows. And let me paint these out. I'll just mark this out here. Chromacryl CAE. And let's see what we've got going on here. Flush this out. I want to make sure I get as much red out of my brush as I can. There we go. And here is our Chromacryl. Now, yellow is one of those colors which, by its very nature, the pigments are transparent. So you're going to really want to see how that yellow looks. There we go. See how it covers up that black. You can also see one of those cool things about yellow, that when you mix a yellow with a black, you actually get a green. Very, very interesting. Lots of reasons for that. You know, black sometimes having blues and whatnot in them. Blah, 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 blah. All in the way that the light reflects and bounces off. But when you mix a black with a yellow, you can get some really interesting greens. And because yellows are, by their nature, transparent colors, you will find that when I just put my yellow on top of this, I'm getting some really interesting greens show up. And again, this is our warm yellow here. Now let me show you what it looks like when I do my Chromacryl essentials over on this side. All right. Definitely more transparent. I mean, you can kind of see that from the get-go. I don't even have to show that up to you. There we go. And it's, you know, I'm trying to even add some more pigment. Don't really notice it that much, you know, when you do it on the white paper. Do you? No. They look about the same. It's going to be how is it when you are using it in terms of opacity? How is it if you really are thinking about how much pigment am I getting? How much bang am I getting for my buck? Chromacryl Essentials is a great price point. Chromacryl is an amazing price point. But you're paying for the pigment and what the pigment load is. And that's going, and how much that is worth to you is all going to depend on whether you're an art teacher, you know, either a newer professional artist or someone that maybe wants to experiment with pouring, maybe someone that wants to do some crafts with their kids, you know, or to someone, like I say, who's supplying a classroom. You know, both of these paints I would highly, highly recommend. But the difference is Chromacryl, a lot more pigment than our Chromacryl Essentials. Well, I shouldn't say a lot more, but it's a noticeable difference when you are trying to get those opacities in some of these key colors. You know what? I'm going to show you a blue. So we've got our primaries represented, and then I want to show you what white looks like, because that can make a big difference as well. All right, here, let's see. I have a cool blue. I actually do have that cool blue. I did not fall on the floor like the cool yellow. That's where I see it now. And again, I'll stick with it where I have our Chromacryl on one side and Chromacryl Essentials on the other. Here we go, our cool blue. And let me just make sure I am grabbing cool blue. And as you can see, it is indeed cool blue. Good to know. And we'll put some of that right here underneath our CAE. Boop. All right, here we go. All right, let's put out our Chromacryl. Pushing it down. Looks like it has a good opacity, and it does. You know, blues tend to be a little bit more opaque. Now, this is a cool blue, so it is going to be more transparent than, let's say, a warm blue, just by the nature of the pigments that are involved, but it's a really beautiful, rich color. There we go. Really nice. Now, let's look at it compared to our Chromacryl Essentials. Clean my brush out here. Oops. Might be getting a little bit more violet because of that red that I used. My water is a little dirty. I'll pull some of this out here. Here we go. Boop. Kind of see a little bit of the color difference. The Chromacryl Essentials maybe isn't as rich, doesn't quite have that depth of color, that moodiness that a cool blue, like a phthalo blue, I would want. Again, on the whites, very, very similar, but you notice it more in the black which is going to be more opaque. Again, how important is that to you? And that's going to be the difference with our Chromacryl and our Chromacryl Essentials. I'm watching paint dry, one of my favorite activities. You can just see how different this is, our Chromacryl Warm Yellow compared to our Chromacryl Essentials. So that is one of the differences that you are going to be paying for. Now, I've talked about, what this all can mean and why this could be important to you. Let me show you what I mean with white. Now, I think I still have my white around here. There it is. All right. There it went. Sorry about that. All right. Chromacryl white. Put it out over here. Again, Chromacryl is all on this side, and Essentials is all over here. CAE. Some white. Some Essentials white. And just to show you something a little bit different, I'm going to put down one of our professional lines of color. I'm going to put down some Atelier Interactive Titanium White so you can see the difference. All right. Now, one thing you may or may not be able to tell on the screen is that right away, the professional color, the Atelier Interactive, much brighter, a much whiter white. So I'm going to get some very clean, some very beautiful, nice, lively tints with a professional white because it has more white in it. So let's start with our Chromacryl white. Nice opacity. Pretty good. Now I'm going to put down our Chromacryl Essentials white. Clean this up. Again, looks like I have a really nice opacity, clean, nice color, nice coverage, nice and white. Now let's try our Atelier Interactive. And let me just put that here. CA, CAE, and AI. There we go. Clean this brush. This is going to be our Atelier. Now, I don't even probably need to show you what it looks like dry. I mean, you can see the difference and how much more white there is in our professional line of paint. And that's because it has a lot more pigment in it. That's one of the reasons why it is a professional paint, fully loaded. That's one of the things that makes the Atelier Interactive line great. But if we're talking about our Scholastic paints, if we're talking about our Chromacryl and our Chromacryl Essentials, you want to be able to see the difference and to see what it is that you're getting. A wonderful paint, but there is going to be a difference in that pigment load. So I can just kind of show you so you can see what's going on here. I'll also show you our blues as well as the yellows. I think the yellows kind of speak for themselves. Now, just because I already have it ready, I want to show you what it looks like when it's dry. Here we go. So these are wet, and acrylics will darken a little bit when they dry. So let me just pull this off to the side and just show you what I've got. And you can see this is our Chromacryl. This is our Essentials. Nice coverage, definitely nice coverage in a white, but not quite the same. And our Interactive. Our Atelier Interactive by far is the brightest white, is the most opaque. And that's pretty much where we're at with our paints. When we're talking about, our Chromacryls as well as our Essentials, what you're going to be looking for is the amount of pigment. That's what you're paying for. How loaded is that color? Our Chromacryl medium-bodied student paints, they are a great paint to work with. They are not light fast. That's something to consider, but I mean, you can't go wrong using them. You're going to really be able to make a nice painting with them. They are labeled warm red, warm blue, cool, cool yellow. So you're able to find your color mixing to be much easier. You're going to easily be able to make the brightest greens, the brightest oranges, or maybe some more moody colors by working with those primaries. If you're interested in that, you definitely want to check out the last live video that I did, which is about color temperature, where I use our Chromacryl. And I think that pretty much is about it. On Chromacryl, the differences between Chromacryl and Chromacryl Essentials. Wonderful paints, just how much pigment there is. All right. If you have any questions at all about pigment loads, pigments, color, Chromacryl, Acrylic Interactive, all the good stuff that Chroma puts out for you, by all means, make your notes in the comments. Shoot us a message here on Facebook. Shoot me an email. I am Jennifer VonStein. I am Chroma's resident artist, and I want to thank you so much for watching this live video, for learning a little bit about the differences between Chromacryl and Chromacryl Essentials. And make sure that you like Chroma, like our page, so we can stay in touch. Stay safe, wash your hands, and I hope I will see everyone soon. Bye-bye.